Hello and welcome to 3D modeling tutorial number 103. In this video I'll teach you how you can create this kind of tiling sofa geometry. So if you want to model a sofa or something with this type of geometry, it's a good idea to create a single tiling piece that you can tile and wrap around your sofa. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll just go here under my snaps toggle, right click here, and I'll make sure that grid points is activated as well as vertex. So I can snap to the grid points. So I'll go ahead and create a cylinder, 8-sided. Go ahead and press S to activate snaps, and I'll go ahead and snap from here to here. Alright, then I'll go ahead and just give it a gray object color. You can customize these custom colors here, so as you can see I've customized it to be different shades of gray here. So I'll just go ahead and select this one right here, and I'll go ahead and select this top polygon, grow and delete. Select this one and flip it. Alright, now what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and inset. I will now go ahead and select these vertices, make it planar on the y-axis, and then snap it to here. So snapping everything to the grid will make things a lot easier. And I'll go ahead and also snap this vertex right here to the grid point. There we go. And to simplify the process, I can just go ahead and connect these, weld them together like so. And then I'll go ahead and apply a symmetry modifier to get the rest of the parts in. There we go. Alright. Before I do that, I'll go ahead and also connect these right here. Alright, here we are. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this down. And maybe move this down as well. And you can also turn on Turbo Smooth to preview what it will look like. Alright, so we got these slits here. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that as well. So I'll just go ahead and select these edges, chamfer, give it, let's say, 2 segments, like so. I'm going to weld these here in the middle together. And I'll go ahead and select those edges here and move it down a little bit. But before I do that, I'll go ahead and select this vertex and snap it to this grid point. It might also be a good idea to copy these modifiers in case you want to quickly add them. Alright. Now just go ahead and select this and move it down. Maybe select these edges and maybe insert a loop through here for additional tightness. So if I have one segment and if I use the slide feature here, the slide parameter, it would kind of give me these wobbly results. So if this is happening for you, change it to 2 segments and use pinch instead. And now you'll get what you need here. Alright, and I'll go ahead and deselect this and remove this, because since I just wanted this one right here. Alright, there we go. We got a nice slit here according to the reference image, and you can always make it sharper by, for example, inserting additional loops through here, however sharp that you want it to be. Alright, and I'm just previewing what it will look like here. And if you want, you can go ahead and maybe lift this up here to get different types of effects, to have this part here go deeper, for example. Well, let's go ahead and leave it at this. Alright, now it's time to go ahead and add some buttons. What I'll do before that though is I want these vertices at this point to be at level with the grid. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go into vertex mode, the vertex sub-object mode, Control A, and I'll snap all these vertices using this vertex. So I'm going to move all these vertices using just this one vertex. Turn on snap mode and snap from here to here. There we go. And I can collapse at this point. Alright, now it's time to go ahead and add those buttons. Okay, so I also need to go ahead and modify this a bit more. Maybe move this down as well. So what I will basically do is I'll move this down here to match the center. About right there. And I can also select these vertices, maybe move them up a little bit. Or select these right here and move them up. And just kind of gradually adjust things to get the right shape. Alright, something like this. And I'll go ahead and insert those buttons. I'll just go ahead and make a basic sphere. And I'll just go ahead and scale it down. Also give it a gray object color. Alright, now in order to position these spheres, here's what I'll do. I'll go under here, the fifth panel here, helpers, under the create tab. And I'll go ahead and choose the point. This is a little helper object you can use to position your other objects. So it's basically a way for you to position objects where you want them to be. So if I want to position this sphere at this vertex, I have to do this. First, I'll go ahead and make sure that vertex is on, make sure snap is on, and I'll go ahead and move my cursor over this vertex until this little blue plus appears, and I'll click. And this helper has been created. Here you can modify some basic settings. I can give it a box, cross, axis, tripod, and center marker. And those are basically just different ways for you to change the display settings of your helper, of your point helper. You can just leave it with a box, for example. It'll just be a box right here. However, I like to use a cross and center marker so I can have more accuracy. Maybe turn off the box here, and so I know exactly where it's at. And you can also change its size. So you can have a smaller size. And also change the draw on top, so it's always on top of all the geometry and everything else. Alright, and now just go ahead and those settings that I changed on this point helper on this will also be here. So I'll go ahead and put those on some other parts as well, and right here. Alright, now I'll simply go ahead and hold Shift and clone a few copies here. I'll go ahead and move this off to the side. You always want to make sure you have at least one template. And I'll go ahead and select them. Press Alt A to turn on my line tool, which is right here, align shortcut. And I'll click on each of these point helpers. Make sure that X, Y, and Z position is turned on. Click on OK. And now it's positioned here. And I'll do the same for this. Alt A, click, OK. And of course, make sure that you select, when you press Alt A, make sure you select the helper and not your geometry. And to make that easier, I can rotate my view and just click on it right here. There we go. Alright, so I can delete the helpers at this point. Alright, now I might have to adjust their position some more. Those point helpers help me with the X and Y position, but I might still have to adjust the Z position. Alright, like so. And one more thing that we should take care of. If I begin spreading it right now, I'll go ahead and turn off grid points for now. If I start spreading it right now, cloning it, I'm just holding Shift, clicking, and letting go. So if I then go and just attach them all together, and then weld it, I could even make it 0.001. If I apply Turbo Smooth now, you'll notice a mistake happening. That's because we haven't added any support loops here to tighten this up, so we need to go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and select this for example and connect. And once again, you see when I'm using one segment, when I'm using the slide parameter, I'm getting this kind of wobbly effect. So I'll just make it 2 segments and use the pinch instead. Alright, now deselect this and remove this. There we go. Now I have a proper. So I need to also duplicate it for the rest. So I'll go ahead and delete that. And then what I'll do is I'll paste those modifiers right back here. Or in this case, okay. So those modifiers got erased, so I'll just have to add them again. Symmetry, symmetry Y. There we go. And now it should have proper tightness all around it. And you can also add some basic details with this as well. For example, you can go in here, select this, chamfer, insert an edge through here, and then you can have some basic kind of wrinkle effects. Just very basic. So once again, select this, chamfer, maybe decrease the chamfer amount. And then simply move this down or up, and you can have some basic wrinkle effects. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that off for now. That's just a way for you to get a lot more detail with a minimal amount of geometry and complexity. I'll go ahead and at this point I can go ahead and simply attach these buttons as well. And let me go ahead and Control I and delete these buttons. Alright, and what I can do beforehand is you'll notice that in the reference image it's a little bit stretched here. So to do that, I can also do a little bit of stretching here. I can go ahead and select this. Alright, to help me move this, what I will do is I will use my point helper again. Alright, I will go ahead and select all of these vertices, and I will go ahead and apply the linked XForm modifier, and under pick control object I will go ahead and select this helper. Now I can select the helper and move it to, let's say, -15, -20. Now I can just go ahead and modify this a little bit more. Alright, and now it is stretched like so. There we go. Alright, now we'll go ahead and press S again, hold Shift, and clone it over here. Let's give it something like 4 copies. Select this. Snap. Alright, now I can select all of these, attach them all together. And here we go, we have a nice tiling pattern for use in making couches. And you can continue making your couch. You can apply various modifiers to this, like bend. For example, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and clone another copy here. And I'll go ahead and modify the pivot of this one To do that, I'll go ahead and use my point helper. I'll go ahead and attach it right here. I'll go ahead and select this, and I'll go under Effect Pivot Only. I will press Alt-A, and I will make the pivot of this object the same as the point helper right here. Okay, there we go. So I need to change it from pivot point to pivot point, and now it's giving me the result I want. So just a slight oversight there. Now I can go ahead and delete the helper, and now the pivot of this object is right here, so I can go ahead and apply a bend modifier, for example. Change it to Y, make it go down here 90, and increase the angle -90, for example. And I can have the couch go down here. Go ahead and attach that. Weld the vertices. And so now I have the couch going down here. And so I can basically apply clone, apply various modifiers, maybe FFD, to get the exact shape of the couch that I need. And it might also be a good idea, before you apply any modifiers, you can put Turbo Smooth under the bend or the Turbo Smooth modifier. And that way you're giving yourself more geometry to work with. Because if you apply the modifier and then put Turbo Smooth, you might get bad results because there's not enough geometry to accurately bend and deform the model. So before I applied the bend modifier, it might have been a good idea to first apply Turbo Smooth. And that would have given me a better bend result. But that's pretty much how you can create this kind of tiling sofa geometry to help you create sofas and couches and other things which require lots of repeating details. Thank you for watching, and take care.